Hi friends, it's Jessica. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be choosing my May TBR. I am so excited to be choosing my TBR for the month of May right now. We are going to start out by talking about how I did in April, and I did great in April with my TBR. I did complete my entire TBR. 2 of those were DNFs, but we're going to go with it. I did complete the whole thing. I tried every book that was on the TBR. I read several books in addition to the TBR because I actually ran out of things to read. And I am very much with my TBR, with my books that I read, I am not so much a mood reader as I am somebody that likes a lot of structure. So running out of books on my TBR gave me a little bit of stress. I had to pick things and somehow that it stresses me out. So I'm going to choose a few more books than I have the last few months because I have completed my TBR a few times. I am reading, I think, a little bit more this year than I did last year. So we're going to choose a few more books. And we're going to go ahead and get started by talking about the winner of the Backlist Battle. I'm going to link the video down below. I did give you all a choice in 7 books, and you got to vote. If you voted more than once, I just gave you more votes. It's not a science here, to come up with the book that you all would like to see me read on my channel. Thank you so much to everyone that responded. And so let's go ahead and go through how the votes went on that. I have them up here. There's a cat who should not be in here. I think he's gonna leave. Are you gonna leave, buddy? Are you gonna go? Are you gonna go? No, you're gonna wander. Okay, well that's fine too. Okay, so starting out with 1 vote, we had The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. And then with 2 votes, we had The Light Brigade by Cameron Hurley. And then 3 votes, 2 books got 3 votes. We had The Last Tale of the Flower Bride, that's not it. The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. And then also Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, also got 3 votes. And then in the 3rd place, we have Generation Ship by Michael Mamay. This one got 4 votes. And with 5 votes, we have Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. A lot of people had really strong opinions about wanting to see me read this giant book, but it did not win, but I am going to read it soon. And with 9 votes, the kind of runaway winner in this competition was Fairy Tale by Stephen King. So this is going to go on to my TBR. It's going to be the first book on my TBR. I'm definitely going to read it this month. A lot of you who have read it spoke really highly about how readable and fun and dark it was. So although I have been hesitant to pick it up, I am actually really excited to read it now. So that's going to be book number 1. We're going to see some Stephen King Fairy Tale for our first read of the month. We're going to start out, as we always do, by picking from my physical TBR jar. And I think, so I have, I usually do 10 books on my TBR, and I'm going to do 12, I think, for this month, unless a lot of them are really short, because I have been running out of books. And as I said, it stresses me out. So we're going to start with a physical TBR pick. I have 3 new release books that I'm wanting to get on this list. And I think I'm going to do maybe 2 draws from the physical TBR jar. So let's see what we get. And we got, for this one, The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Let me grab it. All right, so The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I picked up a copy of this at my local thrift store a few months ago, and I am excited to read it. I read The Night Circus in January. That was a 4-star read for me. I thought it was really great, very atmospheric, had a great setting. I love vibes in a book, so books that are lighter on the plot, heavier on the vibe tend to work for me. I don't know that I would have picked this one if I hadn't drawn it from the jar, so it's good. It's a good thing. We're going to add this. This is going to be book number 2, and I am going to do 1 more draw from the physical TBR jar just to get some of the books that I don't otherwise choose. All right, here we go. And a lot of things that feel like kind of stuck together in here. All right. Sorry, I was looking for this book to see how long it was. So I have drawn A Winter's Promise. Okay. So we are already 3 fantasy books deep. Let me grab that one. Okay, so it's just right back here. This book, the Mirror Visitor Series, Book 1. This is by Christelle Adabos. This is a book that is translated from French. It is the start of a series. It's a young adult fantasy. It's on my R Fantasy Bingo, TBR, for Stranger in a Strange Land. So I am looking forward to being able to use it for that. Is it super long? Probably. Almost 500 pages. That's not as bad as I thought it might be. And it's young adult, so I feel like it's going to read pretty quickly. So this is going to be book number 3. Okay, we're going to put away the physical TBR jar. And we're going to go and do some prompts. So here's my prompt jar. I'm going to draw, let's see, I already have 3 books. I'm going to do 9 draws from the jar. I'm going to try to get my 3 new release books in here, but if I get to the end and I haven't gotten any of them, then I'm probably just going to add them. So start with draw number 1. And I am allowed to put back one thing that I don't like. That's the rule. So let's see. And I got published before 2020. I don't know, it's going to focus on that. Yeah. Published before 2020. So this one is going to be a book that I'm definitely not getting one of my new releases on here. Let me find some choices. So I pulled books and then I realized that I was filtering my list wrong, and these books were published in 2020 and this is before 2020. So I'm going to put these back. We're still looking. Okay, I have a few options. I have a lot of books on my shelf that are older because I buy a lot of used books. So I picked some options. I didn't pick any fantasy because this TBR I already know is going to be super fantasy heavy. So let's try to not do fantasy. I have Too Like the Lightning by Ada Palmer. This is a sci-fi series that is on my list to start this year, both for our Fantasy Bingo, and it's on my 25 and 2025 list that I made. It's one that I'm really wanting to start. So it's a possibility. I'm going to set that down. I have Men We Reaped, which is Jessamine Ward's memoir. I've been really interested in reading this. My copy is, I don't think I realized when I bought it that I had bought somebody's like school copy, and it is so aggressively highlighted and underlined and just not useful for reading from. So maybe not, but I also picked up The Light Brigade since it didn't make it all the way through in my Backlist Battle. It was published in 2019, so it would count. I picked up The Yiddish Policeman's Union by Michael Chabon. This one is, I think it's kind of, yeah, alternate history, I think, and I think it has a speculative element to it. I'm not entirely sure what that element is, but I've never read a Michael Chabon novel, and I'm obsessed with this cover. And then I do have one that is in my library holds list, and that is The Good House by Tananarive Due. This is a haunted house story by one of my recent most favorite authors that I am excited to read for this year. So let's think. So I'm not going to do The Light Brigade right now, although I am looking forward to reading that. And I'm not going to do this one because I don't like my copy. I just realized that's okay. I could get it from the library, but Too Like the Lightning. I really am intimidated by this series. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think I'm going to love it. I'm sure that I'm going to love it, but it is kind of heavy. So I don't know. I don't know. This is a possibility. Also, the Tananarive Due is a possibility, as well as the Michael Chabon. So let's read the descriptions of these and see what we think. This one says, for 60 years, Jewish refugees and their descendants have prospered in the federal district of Sitka, a temporary safe haven created in the wake of revelations of the Holocaust and the shocking 1948 collapse of the fledgling state of Israel. Homicide detective Meyer Landsman of the district police has enough problems without worrying about the upcoming reversion. His life is a shambles, his marriage a wreck, his career a disaster. I know it's literary fiction. As I said, I really want to read a book from this author. And then Too Like the Lightning is hard to explain, but it's sci-fi. And I've read the first chapter of this one before. Let me read the first paragraph of this one, and then I'll come back and tell you all which one I'm thinking I'm going to read. Okay, read the first chapters of these books, well, paragraphs of these books, and I'm going to go with the Yiddish Policeman's Union. I just am really intrigued by it, and it's got an alternate history aspect to it, which I love, and I really want to read something by this author, and this book is not as long as the other one by him that I have, so I'm going to start with this. So, Yiddish Policeman's Union, book number 4, and that took a while. So let's try not to take quite as long for all the others, but we'll see. All right. Okay. This is hilarious, I got Cover You Hate. So a cover that I think is ugly. Okay. Okay, is that going to be any of my books that I am coming out with? No. Let me come up with some ugly choices. I found 3 choices for covers I don't like. I don't know if I hate any of these covers, but... So we're going to start out with the start of a new series by one of my favorite authors, and that book is City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. I have a physical copy of the second book in this series somewhere, but I don't know where it is, so I'm not gonna search through my whole thing. So I think this is a really ugly cover. I think all of his other books have beautiful covers, and I think this series, which is his first series, is so unattractive. And I think as far as I know, they only came out in paperback. I'm not totally sure. But anyway, I do want to read these because I love him. So that's why I'm putting it in here, but I don't care for these covers. I think they're weird. And then I also picked up, this is a TV show cover, a Netflix cover, so I hate it. It's Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. And as you can see, it is, in fact, the Netflix cover, which I think is ugly. I just don't care for that. I got this obviously at the thrift store, so it's what they had, so it's what I bought. But if I decided to keep this on my shelves after I read it, I might replace it with something nicer. I liked the TV show. I did actually watch it, so I have actually seen this TV show. I liked it. I didn't love it. I've never read anything by Margaret Atwood except for The Handmaid's Tale and its sequel, The Testaments. So this is a possibility. And then the third book I picked up for this is one that I just hate for unreasonable reasons, and that is this cover of Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I hate it. I hate it. I like the blue cover, the one that you see everywhere now. This is, I think, maybe like the original cover. I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan of it. This is literary fiction telling the story of Shakespeare. So I think that I'm gonna go ahead, and it's gonna be between, I think, the Robert Jackson Bennett and Hamnet, but I think Hamnet's gonna win because I actually have been wanting to read this for a really long time. This is one of the older books on my shelf. I probably got it close to when it came out. It's from the thrift store. If I end up giving it 5 stars and I love it, I can buy the cover that I like and get rid of this one. I don't know why I think it's so weird. It's the feather across the eyes, and I just, I don't know. I don't like it, but no, I'm going to read it. So I do think I've heard such great things. Literary fiction, historical fiction, heard such good things about this, so I'm excited to read that one. Okay, let's do another one. And I got silver or gold cover. So I'm going to interpret this to mean silver or gold on the cover. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. So I'm going to pull one of my books that I'm excited to read that's coming out this month for this prompt, and that's going to be The Incandescent by Emily Tesh. This is a dark academia fantasy story about I think a kind of a teacher, headmaster of a magical school, and whatever she's going through with that. I have read one book by Emily Tesh, and it was a 5-star for me. That is Some Desperate Glory, which won the Hugo Award last year. This is not a sci-fi, it is a fantasy. I'm very excited to read it, and I'm really hoping I'm going to get it when it comes out, and if it doesn't, I guess I'll read something else that has a silver and gold cover. All right. Sounds like... And I got a new release. So obviously I'm going to read one of my new releases, and I think that new release is going to be, I'm going to pick The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. I have never read a Joe Abercrombie book. I am really excited to read my first one, and I've decided to start with this one because I already read the sample chapter that they put up online, and I think it just looks really good. I read about half of The Blade itself when it first came out, and then didn't end up continuing or going on with the series, but I do want to go back and revisit that because there was nothing I didn't like. Characters, style, humor. I mean, it was all fine. I think I just was bored, but I think that was just me at the time that came out. However, was that, it had to be over a decade ago, I feel like. So I'm gonna start with The Devils. This one is kind of a dark fantasy. Let me look up the description. So the tagline on this is, "Holy work sometimes requires unholy deeds." It's about a monk who looks like he's sent to the city to be in charge of a new flock, and things don't go the way that he expects. It is the start of a new series. We're going to talk about how many series I'm starting when we get to the end of this, I suppose. But I'm really excited to read that one. Hopefully I'm going to get it on release day and be able to start it. All right, this is going to be book number 8. What did I get here? This one says, space opera. Love it. Let me find some space operas. So I've made my choice for this. I don't actually have as many space operas on here as I thought. I thought about reading the next Expanse book, but I've already got a lot of long stuff on here, so we're gonna save that for another day, and we're gonna read The Light Brigade by Cameron Hurley. So we're gonna get on a second book that came from my Backlist Battle video. This is about the Light Brigade. It's what soldiers fighting the war against Mars call the ones who come back different. Grunts in the corporate corps get busted down into light to travel to and from interplanetary battlefronts. Everyone is changed by what the corps must do in order to break them down. Those who survive learn to stick to the mission brief, no matter what actually happens during combat. So it's military sci-fi. I know it's a little bit dark. I am excited. I've never actually read a book by this author, and I have wanted to. And I also just kind of really, really love this cover. I mean, look at those colors. Fantastic. So I'm excited to read this one, and it's going to be my pick for space opera. Next, we have nonfiction. Okay, let's pick a nonfiction book. You saw my face at that. I said I was going to read 6 nonfiction books this year. I have read one. So let me pick some options because we need to get on this goal. I picked up 3 options for nonfiction. If you have any suggestions for me for nonfiction, let me know. I like memoirs, but I would like to branch out from memoirs and read other things too. Some of these are, I have 3 books. I have, first of all, The Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. I read The Wager a couple years ago when it first came out, and I loved it. So I have been wanting to read this. I have not seen the movie. I know it's kind of like a true crime situation. People love it. So yes. I picked up this book by Bill Bryson. It says Shakespeare, the World as Stage. And it's got, it's supposed to be kind of, I think, telling the story of who Shakespeare was as a person. And I thought that might be interesting because I have Hamnet on here also. But I'm not sure if I want to read that much of that this month. So maybe, maybe not. I feel like it might be better to read that after I read Hamnet. I don't know. We'll see, maybe. And then I have Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. It says a story of justice and redemption. This is about the death penalty and lawyers who are working for the Equal Justice Initiative, a legal practice dedicated to defending the poor, the wrongly condemned, and those trapped in the furthest reaches of our criminal justice system. Okay, so I'm not going to do the Bill Bryson because I feel like it is maybe next month. We'll see. I am very torn between these 2. I guess it just depends. I know this one is very powerful. Everyone says it is. And I know this is going to be much more of a narrative style of nonfiction. Still trying to decide. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be Just Mercy. I feel like that story is maybe what I am needing right now. So I'm going to try this one. This is going to be my nonfiction pick for the month. Okay, so now I have 3 more draws. Let's pull one. This says fantasy, which is perfect because I can put in my final new release, which is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This is a romantasy. It has a very striking cover, which I actually thought about using for the cover you hate thing, because I just don't know how I feel about everything going on in this cover. But I feel like there are story reasons why it's like this, so I'm going to withhold judgment, and I am excited to read it. I've absolutely love her fantasy duology, The Shepherd King. I gave them both 5 stars. Great books. So I'm excited to read this one. So that was an excellent draw. And now we have 2 more. I'd like to get a mystery. I don't have any mysteries. Let's see if we can get a mystery. Oh, that's hilarious. So, historical mystery. All right. So I did read an Agatha Christie this past month, and I would consider Agatha Christie's to be historical mysteries. I don't know that I want to read another one just yet, but let's see what I have on my shelves and in my TBR, and I'll pick one out. I have 3 books to choose from that I own for historical murder. I also could do the next book in the Lavender, it's the series that starts with Lavender House. I think it's called Evander Mills is the name of the detective. I think that's the series, set in the 1960s or 50s in San Francisco, following a detective who serves the queer community there. So I would like to read that book, the second book in that series, which I will put up on the screen. I can't remember the name of it right now. I also have A Lady's Guide to Etiquette and Murder by Diane Freeman, which I picked up off the clearance shelf at a bookstore for a couple bucks because I thought it looked cute. This says, set in Victorian England, a wealthy young widow encounters the pleasures and scandalous pitfalls of a London social season. And I'm sure there's murder because it says so in the title. Anyway, this one looks cute and fluffy, kind of cozy, not heavy. I probably have a lot of heavy stuff this month. That's okay. I've been kind of into that lately. Then we also have The Curse of Penrith Hall. This is by Jess Armstrong, and this is a Gothic mystery that is set after World War I in, I think, the UK. Yes. It's an American main character, but it is set in the UK. So, and I've heard good things about this. And then we also have, the last one is going to be The River We Remember by William Kent Kruger. This is kind of more of a literary style mystery. I've heard such amazing things about it. And such different choices. I make it hard on myself. Do I want to pick the fluffiest mystery imaginable, or do I want to choose this literary styled fiction? I think I want to choose literary. I think that's just where I am right now. This one is set in the 1950s, 1958, in Jewell, Minnesota. It starts on Memorial Day. It says, it is the half-clothed body of a wealthy landowner is found floating in the river, and the investigation of his death falls to the sheriff, a war hero who still carries the scars of his service. It sounds great. It's supposed to, I think, have a lot of insights into mid-century small-town American life. And I don't know. I really want to try something by this author. I've never read anything by him, and I've heard such good things. So The River We Remember by William Kent Kruger is going to be my pick for historical mystery. And we are to our last pick. So we're going to do one more draw, and then that's going to be it. That'll be 12 books. Some of these are chunky, nothing too crazy, I think, in terms of length, but it would be really great if I could continue a series that I've already started, of which I have many, but we'll see if I want to do that or not. And we have a book with a map. Looks like we're going fantasy again, guys, because those are the books that have maps usually. Let me see what I can pull. Okay, so you guys should have seen me going through books trying to ask them all, do you have a map? Do you have a map? I did come up with 3 books that have a map. And so we're going to start with Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. This is the first book in the Books of Babel series. It has a very intriguing premise. Mild-mannered headmaster Thomas Senlin prefers his adventures to be safely contained within the pages of a book. So when he loses his new bride shortly after embarking on the honeymoon of their dreams, he is ill-prepared for the trouble that follows. To find her, he must enter the Tower of Babel. And then it's about him climbing the tower, and we do have in here the Tower of Babel. If I can get the camera to show you that. So that's a map. I think this is a very intriguing book. I have read previously by this author. I have read The Hexologists, which I have right here, which I really love. It's a great book. I loved the way that he wrote couples and his dialogue. So I would like to read his first series. I think there's 4 books in this series. This is the first one. So I have that. And then I have the next book in a series. I have The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri. I just read this last month. So in April, I just read this first book in the series, gave it 5 stars, absolutely loved it. I don't like to read books back to back. I like to give myself a few months to kind of digest what happened, but I really loved this series. The first book, 5 stars, was so amazing. Would really like to continue it, but I don't know. I think maybe I need to take a little bit more time. I don't know. I don't know. It does have a map though. Wait, I didn't show you the map. There is a map of the Empire, which is laid out like a flower. You can see it right there. Lovely. And then I have one more book with a map, which is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. Okay, so this one has a map on the inside cover. Let me take off the dust jacket, show you that, so you can kind of see the map. This is a young adult series. I have heard such good things. I know the last book in this series came out this year. I purchased this one pretty recently, so it would be good for me to read something that I actually paid full price for because I bought it from a bookstore I wanted to support. Oh gosh, this is going to be the hardest one. This is going to be the hardest one. I can feel it. I would expect this one to be a little bit lighter based on the other book by the author that I have read. Perhaps. It's also the shortest of these 3 books. It looks like, past the acknowledgements, 389 pages. So I like that it's shorter. This one I just am so interested in reading. I've just heard so many good things. I have a friend at work who just read it, heard great stuff. And then this one, the first book in the series, The Jasmine Throne, just has my entire heart right now. So do I read it? Okay, I think we're just going to leave this one open. I cannot choose. I might just add them both. So we're not going to do Children of Blood and Bone right now. I am going to go ahead and tentatively put both The Oleander Sword and Sunlen Ascends. I know it's too many books on my TBR, but I couldn't make a choice. I didn't want to say no to this one, but we'll just see where I am with my reading in the middle of the month and see which one of these feels like the thing I want to read next. But I am feeling very, very kind of into both of them. A lot of fantasy this month, but that's okay. Fantasy is my favorite. So I am completely surrounded by books right now. Not a bad thing. So let's go back and recap. This is an ambitious TBR. I think some of the books are quite long, but I got through so many books last month that I am hopeful that I'm going to get through a ton of books this month. So we're just going to go right from the beginning. So we're going to start with the book that you all chose for me to read, and that is Fairy Tale by Stephen King. Very excited to get to this one. Then we have The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, which I picked from my physical TBR jar. Then we have A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos. This one also came from the jar. We have, for published before 2020, we have Michael Chabon, The Yiddish Policeman's Union. For Cover You Hate, I chose Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. For Silver and Gold on the Cover, I chose The Incandescent by Emily Tesh. For new release, I chose The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. For space opera, I chose The Light Brigade by Cameron Hurley. For nonfiction, I chose Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. For fantasy, I chose The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, which is coming out this month. For historical mystery, I chose The River We Remember by William Kent Kruger. And then for our final one, which was Book with a Map, I chose 2 books, and because I couldn't choose. So I chose Sunlen Ascends by Josiah Bancroft, and I chose The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri. So I'm very happy with this list. Oh gosh, so much